The palace has survived scandals before. But this alleged crisis is different, because this time, the story is not about a careless interview, a leaked photo, or a family argument played out in the press. This time, the whispers are about something far more dangerous: the future of the crown itself. According to explosive claims circulating among royal watchers, a private memo allegedly discussed ways to modernize the monarchy in a way that could reduce Prince William's power, weaken his visibility, and reshape the royal future before the public even understood what was happening. And the person who allegedly refused to stay silent was not a tabloid favorite. It was not someone known for emotional drama. It was Princess Anne, the one royal who has spent her entire life doing the work, avoiding the spotlight and protecting the institution with almost military discipline. That is why this story has hit so hard. Because when Princess Anne becomes concerned, people listen. Before we go deeper, subscribe to the channel for more royal updates, because this story is not just another palace rumor. It raises serious questions about loyalty, legacy, and who is really shaping the future of the monarchy behind closed doors. Now let's be clear. There is no official public proof that Queen Camilla or anyone in her circle created a confirmed plan to bypass Prince William. The palace has not confirmed such a memo. And legally, William's position as heir cannot simply be erased by private palace politics. But that is exactly what makes this alleged story so disturbing. Because royal power is not only about law, it is also about influence. It is about access. It is about who gets heard, who gets pushed aside, and who controls the story before the public ever sees the truth. That is where Princess Anne's alleged concern becomes powerful. For decades, Anne has been seen as one of the most reliable members of the royal family. She is not known for soft speeches or dramatic public gestures. She does not chase popularity. She does not perform emotion for cameras. She simply shows up, does the work, and leaves. So when reports began suggesting that Anne had noticed something deeply wrong inside the palace, royal watchers immediately understood the weight of it. If Anne was alarmed, then this was not ordinary palace gossip. This was something serious enough to shake even the most disciplined royal in the family. The alleged concern centered around a private communication, a memo described by some sources as polished, careful, and almost painfully bureaucratic. It reportedly did not use direct language. It did not say, "Remove William." It did not openly attack his place in the future. That would have been too obvious. Instead, the language was said to be softer: modernization, streamlining, reallocation of duties, new public-facing structures. Words that sound harmless until you ask one question: who benefits if Prince William is slowly moved away from the center of the monarchy? Because influence does not always disappear in one dramatic moment. Sometimes it is reduced quietly. One meeting missed, one duty reassigned, one advisor replaced, one public appearance shifted, one narrative planted. And before anyone notices, the future has been quietly rewritten. That is the fear at the heart of this entire story. Anne, according to these claims, began noticing changes around King Charles. Conversations that once included trusted voices allegedly became smaller and more controlled. Familiar advisors were said to be replaced by people closer to the Queen's circle. Access to the king allegedly became more filtered. The atmosphere, once formal but predictable, started to feel different. For an outsider, those details might sound small. But Anne is not an outsider. She has lived inside the royal system her entire life. She understands the difference between normal change and a quiet power shift. She knows how palace language works. She knows when modernization is just modernization, and when it may be covering something much deeper. And then there is William. Prince William is not simply another senior royal. He is the heir. He is the future king. He is the son of Diana, the grandson of Queen Elizabeth II, and the father of the next generation. To millions of people, William represents continuity after years of instability. He carries the emotional weight of his mother's memory and the public expectation of what the monarchy might become after Charles. That is why any alleged attempt to weaken him feels so explosive, because William's future is not just personal. It is symbolic. if his role is reduced, if his voice is softened, if his presence is managed away from the center. Then the monarchy's emotional future changes with it. And Princess Anne, more than almost anyone, would understand that. She watched her mother protect the crown for 70 years. She saw Queen Elizabeth II live by duty, restraint, and discipline. She saw the monarchy survive crisis after crisis by holding firm to continuity. So if Anne truly believed that William's future was being quietly undermined, her silence would no longer feel like loyalty. It would feel like surrender. That is what makes her alleged stand so powerful. Anne does not need to shout to be heard. Her reputation speaks louder than most public statements. If she raises a warning, even privately, it carries the weight of a lifetime of service. And then the story turns toward Queen Camilla. Camilla's journey inside the royal family has always been complicated. She spent years in the shadow of Princess Diana's memory, and no matter how carefully her image was rebuilt, that history never fully disappeared. For many people, the emotional connection between Diana, William, and the future of the crown remains extremely strong. That is why these rumors spread so quickly. Because the public already understands the tension beneath the surface. William's loyalty to his mother's legacy is not a media theory. It is deeply human. And Camilla's place beside Charles has always carried the weight of the past. Over time, Camilla became more visible, more accepted, and eventually queen beside King Charles. But acceptance does not erase suspicion. It only softens it. And when claims appear suggesting her circle may have gained influence over Charles's schedule, messaging, and inner decision-making, people immediately connect it to a bigger question. Is the monarchy being guided by the king, or shaped by the people closest to him? That question has now become impossible to ignore. According to the most dramatic claims, Anne did not react immediately. She watched. She observed. She connected small details that others may have dismissed. A meeting here. A missing invitation there. A change in tone. A shift in access. And gradually, what looked like normal palace restructuring began to feel like a pattern. The alleged memo then became the symbol of that pattern. Not because it could legally remove William. It could not. But because it allegedly revealed a mindset, a way of thinking about the monarchy where William's central role could be reduced under the clean, respectable language of reform. That is the kind of threat that does not arrive with a loud announcement. It arrives dressed in professionalism. It sounds calm. It looks official. It uses words that make resistance seem old-fashioned. And that may be exactly why Anne allegedly saw danger before others did. Because she knows the crown. She knows tradition, she knows duty, and she knows that if the future heir is quietly weakened, the damage may not be visible until it is too late. Then came the silence. When rumors like this explode, people expect the palace to respond. They expect a denial, a clarification, a carefully worded statement. Anything, but according to royal observers, the lack of clear public response only made the speculation grow stronger. Silence can be strategy. The monarchy has survived for generations by refusing to answer every rumor. But silence can also create suspicion. And in this case, the subject was too serious for many people to ignore. This was not about seating arrangements or family tension. This was about the future of the throne. So the questions became louder. If there was no memo, why not shut it down completely? If William's role is secure, why does the atmosphere feel so tense? If Anne's concerns are exaggerated, why would someone with her reputation risk stepping anywhere near this kind of storm? And where was King Charles in all of it? That may be the most painful part of the story. Charles waited longer than anyone to become king. His entire life was built around preparation for the throne. But now, in the middle of one of the most sensitive storms of his reign, the public perception is that he appears trapped between his wife, his sister, his son, and the institution he was born to protect. For William, that silence would cut deep. Imagine being the heir to the throne, carrying the legacy of your mother, your grandmother, and your children's future, while whispers grow that people inside your own circle may be discussing how to reduce your influence. Even if those claims are never fully proven, the emotional damage would be enormous. Because the deepest wound would not be political. It would be personal. William has already lived through public grief, family breakdown, royal pressure, and years of scrutiny. He has had to prepare for a destiny he did not choose, while protecting his own family from the same pressures that shaped his childhood. So if Anne truly stepped forward to protect him, it would not simply be a royal move. It would be an aunt defending the future of her family. And that is why viewers are so invested in this story. It is not just about monarchy. It is about trust. It is about whether the people closest to the crown are protecting it or quietly fighting over what it should become. Camilla's supporters would likely argue that these claims are unfair. They may say the monarchy needs modernization. They may say reform is necessary. They may say critics are using old resentment to attack a queen who has spent years proving her loyalty to Charles. And there may be people who believe that. But Anne's alleged concern raises a different question. Where does modernization end and manipulation begin? Because reform should strengthen the monarchy, not weaken the rightful heir. Reform should make the institution more stable, not more secretive. Reform should prepare the future, not quietly push the future aside. That is why the alleged media response matters too. According to the claims, once Anne's concerns began circulating, there was a sudden effort to reframe the story. The language shifted. The alleged memo was no longer presented as a dangerous power move, but as a misunderstood modernization plan. Anne was allegedly portrayed as old-fashioned, too protective of William, too tied to the late Queen's way of doing things. That tactic is familiar. When the message is dangerous, attack the messenger. When the facts are uncomfortable, make the whistleblower look emotional. And when someone with a strong reputation raises concerns, try to make the public doubt their motives. But that is not easy with Princess Anne, because Anne has never built her image on drama. She has built it on consistency. And consistency is difficult to destroy overnight. That is why in this alleged crisis, Anne may be Camilla's most difficult opponent. Not because Anne wants power, not because she wants attention, but because she does not need either one. She is not fighting for a crown. She is fighting for what she believes the crown should still mean: duty, continuity, accountability. Truth. Then came the most emotional layer of the claims, the idea that someone from inside the royal machine may have been ready to speak. A senior aide, according to the story, allegedly became uncomfortable with what was happening and began keeping records, notes, dates, details, small pieces of protection in case the truth ever needed to come out. Again, these claims remain unverified, but as a narrative, they are powerful because they suggest something the palace fears most: that silence may not hold forever. If insiders begin speaking, the monarchy cannot rely on polished statements alone. If documents exist, the story changes. If Anne is backed by people who saw or heard things firsthand, then the situation becomes more than a family argument. It becomes a question of institutional trust. And once trust breaks inside the monarchy, it does not stay private. It reaches the public. It reaches the press. It reaches the Commonwealth. It reaches every person who still believes the crown should stand for something bigger than palace politics. That is why this alleged story feels larger than Camilla, Charles, Anne, or even William. It touches the core fear surrounding the modern monarchy. Can an institution built on tradition survive if the people inside it are no longer united around the same future? Anne's alleged answer appears to be simple: not without accountability. And that may be why the idea of an independent royal review or tribunal has become such a dramatic part of the story. Because if someone inside the palace truly tried to interfere with William's future role, then private whispers would not be enough. The crown would need answers. The family would need answers. The public would need answers. But accountability comes with a cost. For Charles, it could expose weakness at the very center of his reign. For Camilla, it could reopen old wounds she spent decades trying to move beyond. For William, it could confirm that the battle for his future began long before he ever wore the crown. And for Anne, it could mean sacrificing the quiet life of duty she has always preferred. Still, The emotional force of this story is that Anne may have reached a point where silence felt more dangerous than exposure, because there is no honor in protecting an institution if the institution begins to betray its own future. There is no strength in pretending everything is stable while trust is collapsing behind palace walls. And there is no safe path forward if the heir to the throne becomes a quiet target of internal politics. So now, the world watches. Will the palace continue to stay silent? Will Charles finally speak with clarity? Will William remain cautious, or will he be forced to defend his future more openly? And will Princess Anne, one of the most disciplined royals of her generation, become the unexpected figure standing between the crown and a deeper crisis? Nobody knows what happens next. But one thing is clear: this story has struck a nerve, because it is not only about power, it is about memory. Diana's memory, Queen Elizabeth's legacy, William's future, and the painful question of whether the monarchy can still protect its own bloodline from the shadows inside its walls. The crown can survive criticism, it can survive rumors, it can survive scandal, but it cannot survive forever if the public begins to believe that the future king is being quietly undermined from within. Because when people lose faith in the honesty of the palace, the damage does not stop at the gates. It reaches the throne. And if Princess Anne's alleged warning is even close to the truth, then the monarchy may be standing at the edge of a crisis it can no longer silence. Now tell us in the comments, do you believe Princess Anne is protecting Prince William's future, or do you think this story is being pushed too far? Subscribe for more royal updates, because the next move from the palace could change everything.